Question 1. What battle in 1066 marked the beginning of Norman rule in England? A. The Battle of Stamford Bridge. B. The Battle of Agincourt. C. The Battle of Hastings. D. The Battle of Yorktown. Answer. C. The Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings in 1066 marked the beginning of Norman rule in England after William the Conqueror defeated King Harold II. Question 2. Who signed the Magna Carta in 1215, and what was its significance? A. King Henry VIII. B. King John. C. Queen Elizabeth I. D. King Edward I. Answer. B. King John. King John signed the Magna Carta in 1215, which is significant as it limited the powers of the monarchy and laid the foundation for modern democracy. Question 3. What was the main result of the English Civil War in the 17th century? A. The establishment of a new monarchy. B. The confirmation of royal supremacy. C. The execution of Charles I and the establishment of a Commonwealth. D. The expansion of the British Empire. Answer. C. The execution of Charles I and the establishment of a Commonwealth. The English Civil War resulted in the overthrow of the monarchy and the establishment of a Commonwealth led by Oliver Cromwell. Question 4. Which event in 1666 significantly shaped modern-day London? A. The Glorious Revolution. B. The Great Plague. C. The Great Fire of London. D. The London Exhibition. Answer. C. The Great Fire of London. The Great Fire of 1666 significantly shaped modern-day London, leading to the rebuilding of much of the city, including St. Paul's Cathedral. Question 5. What were the key causes and outcomes of the Glorious Revolution of 1688? A. Religious conflicts and the establishment of constitutional monarchy. B. Economic crisis and the expansion of the British Empire. C. Political disputes and the dissolution of the monarchy. D. Military defeats and the signing of the Magna Carta. Answer. A. Religious conflicts and the establishment of constitutional monarchy. The Glorious Revolution was driven by religious and political conflicts, resulting in the overthrow of James II and the establishment of a constitutional monarchy under William and Mary. Question 6. Describe the main provisions of the Act of Union 1707. A. Unification of the English and Scottish Parliaments. B. Establishment of separate parliaments for England and Scotland. C. Granting of independence to Scotland. D. Division of powers between England and Wales. Answer. A. Unification of the English and Scottish Parliaments. The Act of Union 1707 united the English and Scottish Parliaments, forming the Parliament of Great Britain. Question 7. What was the impact of the agricultural revolution on British society? A. Decrease in agricultural production. B. Increase in urbanization and industrial growth. C. Isolation of Britain from European trade. D. Strengthening of feudal practices. Answer. B. Increase in urbanization and industrial growth. The agricultural revolution led to increased productivity and efficiency, which contributed to urbanization and industrial growth in Britain. Question 8. Which British monarch faced the loss of the American colonies in the War of Independence? A. Queen Anne. B. King George III. C. King James I. D. King Edward III. Answer. B. King George III. King George III was the British monarch during the American War of Independence, which resulted in the loss of the American colonies. Question 9. Detail the main reforms enacted during the reign of Queen Victoria. A. Expansion of the colonial empire. B. Introduction of the Reform Acts. C. Abolition of slavery. D. All of the above. Answer D. All of the above. During Queen Victoria's reign, significant reforms included the expansion of the British Empire, the introduction of the Reform Acts, and the abolition of slavery. Question 10. What were the significant effects of the Industrial Revolution on urbanization in Britain? A. Decrease in city populations. B. Increase in rural employment. C. Rapid growth of city populations and development of new social classes. D. Reduction in industrial productivity. Answer C. Rapid growth of city populations and development of new social classes. The Industrial Revolution led to significant urbanization in Britain, with rapid growth of city populations and the emergence of new social classes. Question 11. Who was Prime Minister during the establishment of the welfare state after World War II? A. Winston Churchill. B. Clement Attlee. C. Margaret Thatcher. D. Tony Blair. Answer B. Clement Attlee. Clement Attlee was the Prime Minister who oversaw the establishment of the welfare state in Britain after World War II, including the creation of the National Health Service. Question 12. What led to the formation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in 1801? A. The Act of Union between Great Britain and Ireland. B. The end of the Napoleonic Wars. C. The establishment of the Commonwealth. D. The Treaty of Paris. Answer A. The Act of Union between Great Britain and Ireland. The formation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in 1801 was a result of the Act of Union between Great Britain and Ireland. Question 13. How did the Reform Acts of the 19th century expand the electorate? A. By granting vote to all male citizens. B. By lowering property requirements for voting. C. By allowing women to vote. D. By eliminating all voting. Answer B. By lowering property requirements for voting. The Reform Acts of the 19th century expanded the electorate by lowering property requirements, thereby allowing more men to vote. Question 14. What triggered the Chartist movement and what did it achieve? A. Economic distress, and it achieved significant electoral reforms. B. Religious disputes, and it led to greater religious freedom. C. Military defeats, and it resulted in defense reforms. D. None of the above. Answer A. Economic distress, and it achieved significant electoral reforms. The Chartist movement was triggered by economic distress and sought to achieve electoral reforms such as universal male suffrage, although its immediate successes were limited. Question 15. Who was responsible for the abolition of the slave trade in the British Empire? A. William Wilberforce. B. Oliver Cromwell. C. Elizabeth I. D. Winston Churchill. Answer A. William Wilberforce. William Wilberforce was a key figure responsible for the abolition of the slave trade in the British Empire through his persistent advocacy in Parliament. Question 16. What significant health legislation was passed in Britain in the 19th century? A. The Public Health Act of 1848. B. The Health and Safety at Work Act. C. The National Health Service Act. D. The Clean Air Act. Answer A. The Public Health Act of 1848. The Public Health Act of 1848 was a significant piece of health legislation in Britain that addressed sanitary conditions and public health amid the Industrial Revolution. Question 17. Who was the British monarch during the Battle of Waterloo in 1815? A. King George III. B. Queen Victoria. C. King Edward VII. D. Queen Elizabeth I. Answer A. King George III. King George III was the British monarch during the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, which saw Napoleon's defeat by the British-led Allied forces under the Duke of Wellington. Question 18. Which treaty concluded the Napoleonic Wars, and what were its main terms? A. The Treaty of Versailles. B. The Treaty of Paris, 1815. C. The Congress of Vienna. D. The Treaty of Utrecht. Answer B. The Treaty of Paris, 1815. The Treaty of Paris in 1815 concluded the Napoleonic Wars, leading to Napoleon's exile to Est, Helena, and the restoration of the Bourbon monarchy in France. Question 19. What role did Britain play in the partitioning of Africa in the late 19th century? A. It opposed any division of African territories. B. It played a leading role in the scramble for Africa. C. It focused solely on trade with no territorial claims. D. It mediated disputes between other European powers. Answer B. It played a leading role in the scramble for Africa. Britain played a significant role in the partitioning of Africa, claiming vast areas of the continent during the scramble for Africa. Question 20. How did World War I impact the British Empire economically and socially? A. It had little impact. B. It strengthened the British Empire's global dominance. C. It led to economic strain and accelerated social change. D. It resulted in the expansion of the empire in Asia. Answer C. It led to economic strain and accelerated social change. World War I had a profound impact on the British Empire, leading to significant economic difficulties and accelerating social changes, including shifts towards greater social mobility and the beginning of the decline of the empire. Question 21. What was the significance of the Battle of Britain in 1940? A. It marked the first major defeat of the British air forces. B. It was the last battle fought on British soil. C. It was the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces. D. It led directly to the end of World War II. Answer C. It was the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces. The Battle of Britain in 1940 was significant because it marked the first time in history that a battle was fought entirely in the air, and it played a crucial role in preventing a German invasion of Britain. Question 22. Discuss the effects of the Suez Crisis on Britain's global standing. A. It significantly enhanced Britain's influence in the Middle East. B. It had no impact on Britain's global standing. C. It marked the beginning of the expansion of the British Empire. D. It led to a decline in Britain's global influence and marked the end of Britain as a superpower. Answer D. It led to a decline in Britain's global influence and marked the end of Britain as a superpower. The Suez Crisis in 1956 exposed the limitations of Britain's post-war power and significantly damaged its international reputation and influence. Question 23. What were the main reasons for and outcomes of the decolonization process after 1945? A. Economic prosperity in the colonies and the strengthening of the British Empire. B. Increased demands for independence from colonies and a focus on domestic issues in Britain. C. The discovery of valuable resources in the colonies. D. All colonies were forcibly taken from Britain. Answer. B. Increased demands for independence from colonies and the focus on domestic issues in Britain. The main reasons for decolonization included a rise in nationalist movements in the colonies and economic constraints in post-war Britain, leading to a gradual release of many colonies. Question 24. Who was the first woman to be elected as the Prime Minister of the UK, and what was her impact? A. Queen Elizabeth II. B. Margaret Thatcher. C. Theresa May. D. Angela Merkel. Answer. B. Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was the first woman to be elected as Prime Minister of the UK, known for her strong conservative policies, significant economic reforms, and her impact on the Cold War dynamics. Question 25. How did the introduction of the National Health Service in 1948 change healthcare in Britain? A. It privatized healthcare. B. It made healthcare accessible and free at the point of use for all British citizens. C. It limited healthcare to employed citizens only. D. It had no significant impact on healthcare. Answer. B. It made healthcare accessible and free at the point of use for all British citizens. The establishment of the National Health Service, NHS, in 1948 revolutionized healthcare in Britain by providing comprehensive health services funded through taxation. Question 26. What was the Winter of Discontent, and how did it change British politics? A. A period of economic growth in the 1980s. B. A mild winter that had little impact on the country. C. A period of major industrial strife during the winter of 1978 to 1979. T. A festival celebrating British culture. Answer. C. A period of major industrial strife during the winter of 1978 to 1979. The Winter of Discontent involved widespread strikes by public sector workers over pay constraints, leading to significant disruption and playing a role in the Conservative electoral victory in 1979. Question 27. What were the main issues addressed by the Good Friday Agreement? A. Economic policies between England and Scotland. B. The constitutional status of Wales. C. The peace process in Northern Ireland. D. Trade agreements with the European Union. Answer. C. The peace process in Northern Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement in 1998 was pivotal in addressing the conflict in Northern Ireland, setting a framework for power sharing and laying foundations for peace and reconciliation. Question 28. Who was the longest-serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century, and what were their key policies? A. Winston Churchill. B. Margaret Thatcher. C. Tony Blair. D. Harold Wilson. Answer. B. Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was the longest-serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century, notable for her neoliberal policies, privatization of state-owned enterprises, and strong stance against the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Question 29. What is the significance of the Human Rights Act 1998 for UK residents? A. It restricted the rights of individuals. B. It incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into British law. C. It focused solely on economic rights. D. It was related only to environmental laws. Answer. B. It incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into British law. The Human Rights Act 1998 is significant for UK residents as it ensures that the European Convention on Human Rights is directly enforceable in UK courts, safeguarding individual rights. Question 30. What major event in 1952 changed the line of succession to the British throne? A. The abdication of King Edward VIII. B. The marriage of Queen Elizabeth II. C. The death of King George VI and the accession of Queen Elizabeth II. D. The birth of Prince Charles. Answer. C. The death of King George VI and the accession of Queen Elizabeth II. The death of King George VI in 1952 led to Queen Elizabeth II ascending the throne, significantly altering the line of succession. Question 31. How did the British government respond to the financial crisis of 2008? A. By joining the Eurozone. B. By implementing austerity measures and bailing out banks. C. By completely isolating itself from international markets. D. By abolishing the Bank of England. Answer. B. By implementing austerity measures and bailing out banks. The British government responded to the 2008 financial crisis with austerity measures to reduce national debt and by bailing out major banks to stabilise the financial system. Question 32. What reforms were implemented under the Scotland Act 1998? A. Dissolution of the Scottish Parliament. B. Establishment of devolved government, granting legislative powers to Scotland. C. Scotland was granted complete independence from the UK. D. The Act focused only on economic reforms. Answer. B. Establishment of devolved government, granting legislative powers to Scotland. The Scotland Act 1998 implemented significant reforms by establishing a devolved Scottish Parliament with powers to legislate on various domestic issues. Question 33. What was the impact of the Brexit referendum on UK politics? A. It led to immediate re-entry into the European Union. B. It had no significant impact. C. It caused political turmoil and divisions within the country. D. It strengthened the UK's position in the EU. Answer. C. It caused political turmoil and divisions within the country. The Brexit referendum in 2016 had a profound impact on UK politics, leading to years of negotiations, changes in leadership, and ongoing debates about the future of the UK's relationship with the EU. Question 34. How did the Great Reform Act of 1832 shift political power in Britain? A. It centralised power within the monarchy. B. It expanded the electoral franchise, reducing the power of the aristocracy. C. It abolished the Parliament. D. It had no impact on political power. Answer. B. It expanded the electoral franchise, reducing the power of the aristocracy. The Great Reform Act of 1832 was a crucial step in the democratization of Britain, expanding the electorate to include more of the middle class and reducing the disproportionate influence of the aristocracy. Question 35. What was the role of Britain in the Treaty of Versailles? A. Britain was not involved in the Treaty of Versailles. B. Britain played a leading role in setting the terms of the treaty. C. Britain opposed the treaty. D. Britain focused on gaining territories. Answer. B. Britain played a leading role in setting the terms of the treaty. Britain, along with France and the United States, played a significant role in determining the punitive terms imposed on Germany in the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. Question 36. How did the Enclosure Acts impact rural Britain? A. They had no impact on rural communities. B. They led to the development of urban centres. C. They consolidated land into the hands of few, displacing many rural dwellers. D. They increased the number of rural farms. Answer: C. They consolidated land into the hands of few, displacing many rural dwellers. The Enclosure Acts transformed rural Britain by consolidating common lands into individual plots, which benefited wealthier landowners but often displaced poorer rural inhabitants, contributing to urban migration. Question 37. Who led the British forces in the Falklands War? A. Margaret Thatcher. B. Sir Winston Churchill. C. Admiral Sir John Fieldhouse. D. General Sir Jeremy Moore. Answer: D. General Sir Jeremy Moore. General Sir Jeremy Moore led the British land forces in the Falklands War, playing a key role in the military campaign that reclaimed the Falkland Islands from Argentine occupation in 1982. Question 38. What significant environmental legislation was passed in the UK in response to the 1952 Great Smog? A. The Clean Air Act of 1956. B. The Environmental Protection Act. C. The Air Quality Act. D. The Smog Abatement Act. Answer: A. The Clean Air Act of 1956. In response to the deadly Great Smog of 1952, the UK passed the Clean Air Act in 1956, which was designed to reduce air pollution by controlling domestic and industrial smoke. Question 39. Describe the impact of the Elizabethan religious settlement. A. It confirmed Catholicism as the state religion. B. It led to the separation of church and state. C. It established Protestantism with tolerance for some Catholic practices. D. It had no impact on religion in England. Answer: C. It established Protestantism with tolerance for some Catholic practices. The Elizabethan religious settlement established the Church of England as a Protestant church but retained some traditional Catholic practices, attempting to appease both Protestant and Catholic factions. Question 40. Who was involved in the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, and what was their objective? A. Sir Francis Drake, to expand the British Empire. B. Guy Fawkes and other Catholic conspirators, to blow up the Houses of Parliament. C. Oliver Cromwell, to overthrow the monarchy. D. The Pilgrims, to establish religious freedom. Answer: B. Guy Fawkes and other Catholic conspirators, to blow up the Houses of Parliament. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 was orchestrated by Guy Fawkes and a group of Catholic conspirators who aimed to assassinate King James I and blow up the Houses of Parliament to end Protestant rule. Question 41. What major social change occurred with the introduction of the Married Women's Property Act? A. Women were allowed to vote. B. Women were allowed to own and manage their property independently of their husbands. C. Women were required to transfer all property to their husbands. D. There was no significant change. The act was purely symbolic. Answer: B. Women were allowed to own and manage their property independently of their husbands. The Married Women's Property Act was a significant legal change that allowed married women to own, manage, and control property in their own right, rather than having property owned by their husbands. Question 42. How did the invention of the steam engine impact British industry? A. It decreased the efficiency of manufacturing processes. B. It had minimal impact until the 20th century. C. It led to significant advancements in transportation and manufacturing efficiency. D. It was primarily used in the agricultural sector. Answer: C. It led to significant advancements in transportation and manufacturing efficiency. The invention of the steam engine was a pivotal moment in the Industrial Revolution, greatly enhancing productivity and efficiency in both transportation, e.g., railways and manufacturing. Question 43. What was the purpose of the Corn Laws and why were they repealed? A. To increase the import of corn and decrease its price. Repealed because they were ineffective. B. To restrict the import of corn to increase domestic prices. Repealed due to public pressure and economic necessity. C. To subsidize corn production. Repealed due to corruption. D. No corn laws were ever enacted in Britain. Answer. B. To restrict the import of corn to increase domestic prices. Repealed due to public pressure and economic necessity. The Corn Laws were designed to protect British agriculture from foreign competition by imposing tariffs on imported grain, leading to higher food prices. They were repealed in 1846 amid economic hardship and widespread protest, marking a significant move towards free trade. Question 44. Who was responsible for signing the Anglo-Irish Treaty, and what did it establish? A. Queen Victoria. It established the Commonwealth. B. Winston Churchill. It granted independence to the Republic of Ireland. C. David Lloyd George. It established the Irish Free State with Dominion status. D. Margaret Thatcher. It ended the Troubles in Northern Ireland. Answer. C. David Lloyd George. It established the Irish Free State with Dominion status. Prime Minister David Lloyd George was instrumental in negotiating and signing the Anglo-Irish Treaty in 1921, which established the Irish Free State and granted it Dominion status within the British Empire. Question 45. What was the significance of the Battle of Agincourt in 1415? A. It marked the beginning of the British Empire. B. It was a decisive victory in the 100 Years' War that underscored the effectiveness of English longbowmen. C. It led to the unification of England and France. D. It was a major defeat for Britain and led to significant territorial losses. Answer. B. It was a decisive victory in the 100 Years' War that underscored the effectiveness of English longbowmen. The Battle of Agincourt is celebrated as a major English victory against a numerically superior French army, largely due to the tactical advantage provided by the English archers. Question 46. Which Act of Parliament officially ended the British transatlantic slave trade? A. The Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. B. The Slave Trade Act of 1807. C. The Human Rights Act of 1998. D. The Emancipation Proclamation. Answer. B. The Slave Trade Act of 1807. The Slave Trade Act of 1807 made it illegal to engage in the slave trade throughout the British Empire, marking a crucial step towards the eventual abolition of slavery itself, which was achieved with the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. Question 47. What were the key outcomes of the Beveridge Report? A. It led to the establishment of the welfare state and the founding of the National Health Service. B. It called for stricter immigration controls. C. It recommended privatizing state-owned enterprises. D. It suggested disbanding the welfare state. Answer. A. It led to the establishment of the welfare state and the founding of the National Health Service. The Beveridge Report, published in 1942, outlined a comprehensive system of social insurance, covering everything from health to unemployment, which laid the groundwork for the modern British welfare state. Question 48. Who was the Prime Minister when the UK joined the European Economic Community? A. Harold Wilson. B. Margaret Thatcher. C. Edward Heath. D. Tony Blair. Answer. C. Edward Heath. Edward Heath was the British Prime Minister when the UK joined the European Economic Community. C. in 1973, marking a significant moment in the UK's relationship with Europe. Question 49. What were the primary reasons for the formation of the Labour Party? A. To represent the aristocracy's interests in Parliament. B. To promote free market policies. C. To advocate for workers' rights and social equality. D. To support the expansion of the British Empire. Answer: C. To advocate for workers' rights and social equality. The Labour Party was formed in the early 20th century to provide a political voice for the working class, focusing on workers' rights, social equality, and the redistribution of wealth. Question 50. Who was the Iron Lady of British politics, and why was she given this nickname? A. Queen Elizabeth I, for her strong leadership style. B. Margaret Thatcher, for her uncompromising policies and leadership style. C. Theresa May, for her resilience in Brexit negotiations. D. Angela Merkel, for her influence in European politics. Answer: B. Margaret Thatcher, for her uncompromising policies and leadership style. Margaret Thatcher, the first female Prime Minister of the UK, was nicknamed the Iron Lady by a Soviet journalist, a moniker that reflected her stern conservatism and tough political stance. Question 51. Describe the impact of the swinging 60s on British culture. A. It marked a period of economic decline. B. It was characterized by cultural conservatism. C. It saw a cultural revolution with significant changes in music, fashion, and societal norms. D. It had little impact on British culture. Answer: C. It saw a cultural revolution with significant changes in music, fashion, and societal norms. The swinging 60s was a period of profound cultural change in Britain, marked by the emergence of new music styles like the Beatles, fashion icons like Mary Quant, and a more liberal approach to life. Question 52. What led to the establishment of the United Nations, and what role did Britain play in it? A. The Cold War. Britain was opposed to its formation. B. World War II. Britain was a founding member and instrumental in its creation. C. The Treaty of Versailles. Britain played a minor role. D. The Falklands War. Britain used it to garner international support. Answer: B. World War II. Britain was a founding member and instrumental in its creation. The United Nations was established after World War II to prevent future conflicts, and Britain was among its founding members, playing a significant role in shaping the organization and its mission. Question 53. What was the impact of the 1832 cholera epidemic on public health policy? A. It led to the establishment of the National Health Service. B. It had no impact on public health policies. C. It prompted significant improvements in sanitation and water supply. D. It resulted in the isolation of Britain from Europe. Answer: C. It prompted significant improvements in sanitation and water supply. The 1832 cholera epidemic had a profound impact on public health policy in Britain, leading to reforms in water supply and sanitation to prevent future outbreaks. Question 54. Who was the first British monarch of the House of Windsor? A. Queen Victoria. B. King George V. C. King Edward VII. D. Queen Elizabeth II. Answer: B. King George V. King George V was the first monarch of the House of Windsor, a name adopted in 1917 during World War I due to anti-German sentiment, replacing the house's original name, Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Question 55. How did the Railways Act 1921 change British transportation? A. It nationalised all British rail companies into 4 major companies. B. It privatized the railway industry. C. It had little impact on transportation. D. It banned the construction of new railway lines. Answer A. It nationalised all British rail companies into 4 major companies. The Railways Act 1921 was significant for British transportation as it restructured the railway industry, consolidating hundreds of private rail companies into 4 major regional companies, which helped to standardise and improve rail services. Question 56. What was the primary reason for construction of Hadrian's Wall? A. To mark the boundary of the Roman Empire. B. To prevent the invasion of the Viking armies. C. To serve as a trade barrier. D. To attract tourists. Answer A. To mark the boundary of the Roman Empire. Hadrian's Wall was built under the rule of Emperor Hadrian to mark the northern limit of Roman Britain and to prevent military raids by the Pictish tribes from what is now Scotland. Question 57. Who was the British explorer that claimed Australia for Britain? A. James Cook. B. Francis Drake. C. Henry Hudson. D. John Cabot. Answer A. James Cook. Captain James Cook was the British explorer who claimed Australia for Britain during his first voyage of discovery to the Pacific in 1770, significantly expanding the British Empire. Question 58. Discuss the impact of the Thatcher administration on the British coal industry. A. It led to significant expansion and modernization of the coal industry. B. It resulted in the closure of numerous mines and the loss of thousands of jobs. C. It had no impact on the coal industry. D. It focused on importing coal rather than domestic production. Answer B. It resulted in the closure of numerous mines and the loss of thousands of jobs. The Thatcher administration's policies led to a confrontation with the coal unions and a move towards energy privatization, which resulted in the closure of many coal mines and significant job losses in the mid-1980s. Question 59. What was Operation Dynamo, and why was it significant during World War II? A. It was a military operation to liberate occupied France. B. It was the code name for the D-Day landings. C. It was the evacuation of Allied soldiers from Dunkirk, France, in 1940. D. It was a strategic bombing campaign against Germany. Answer C. It was the evacuation of Allied soldiers from Dunkirk, France, in 1940. Operation Dynamo was significant during World War II as it successfully evacuated over 330,000 Allied troops from Dunkirk in the face of advancing German forces, preserving a large part of the British Expeditionary Force. Question 60. What is the Crown dependencies and what is their relationship with the UK? A. They are former colonies of the British Empire. B. They are independent countries that share a monarch with the UK. C. They are territories that have the British monarch as their head of state but are self-governing. D. They are part of the UK and fully subject to British law. Answer C. They are territories that have the British monarch as their head of state but are self-governing. The Crown dependencies, which include the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands, Jersey and Guernsey, are not part of the United Kingdom but maintain a relationship where they are self-governing but share the British monarch as their head of state. Question 61. Who authored the report that led to the establishment of the NHS? A. Aneurin Bevan. B. Winston Churchill. C. William Beveridge. D. Margaret Thatcher. Answer C. William Beveridge. William Beveridge authored the report that laid the groundwork for the establishment of the National Health Service, NHS, in 1948, proposing comprehensive health and social care for all citizens. Question 62. What was the primary objective of the Magna Carta? A. To declare war on France. B. To expand the rights of the monarchy. C. To limit the powers of the king and protect the rights of the nobility. D. To establish Parliament's control over taxation. Answer. C. To limit the powers of the king and protect the rights of the nobility. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, was primarily aimed at limiting the powers of the king and establishing certain legal protections for the nobles, laying foundational principles for modern democracy. Question 63. How did the UK handle the issue of Hong Kong's sovereignty in 1997? A. By granting Hong Kong full independence. B. By retaining control over Hong Kong's military defense. C. By transferring sovereignty to China under the principle of one country, two systems. D. By initiating a military intervention. Answer. C. By transferring sovereignty to China under the principle of one country, two systems. In 1997, the UK transferred sovereignty of Hong Kong to China, agreeing to a unique arrangement that allowed Hong Kong to maintain separate governing and economic systems from that of mainland China for 50 years. Question 64. What was the primary focus of the Butler Education Act of 1944? A. To segregate educational institutions. B. To establish free secondary education for all children. C. To privatize education. D. To abolish public schooling. Answer. B. To establish free secondary education for all children. The Butler Education Act of 1944 was a landmark piece of legislation in the UK that introduced free secondary education for all children, significantly expanding educational access and contributing to the development of the post-war welfare state. Question 65. Who was known as the People's Princess, and what was her impact on the monarchy? A. Queen Elizabeth II. B. Princess Margaret. C. Princess Diana. D. Kate Middleton. Answer. C. Princess Diana. Princess Diana was affectionately known as the People's Princess because of her widespread popularity and compassionate public persona. Her approachability and charitable activities endeared her to the public and brought a more human face to the British monarchy. Question 66. What are the main functions of the Commonwealth and how is Britain involved? A. To coordinate military alliances. Britain is the leading military power. B. To promote economic cooperation. Britain is a minor participant. C. To support political, social, and economic development. Britain is a founding member and key participant. D. To govern member countries. Britain has controlling power. Answer. C. To support political, social, and economic development. Britain is a founding member and key participant. The Commonwealth primarily aims to foster international cooperation among its member countries and promote democracy, human rights, and economic development, with Britain playing a central role as a founding member. Question 67. What led to the devolution of power to Scotland and Wales in the late 1990s? A. Economic disparities. B. Demands for greater political autonomy and cultural recognition. C. Military pressures. D. EU regulations. Answer. B. Demands for greater political autonomy and cultural recognition. The devolution of power to Scotland and Wales in the late 1990s was driven by growing demands within these nations for greater control over their affairs, reflecting wider political, cultural, and economic aspirations. Question 68. How did the Financial Services Act of 1986 change the UK banking sector? A. It led to stricter government control over banking. B. It deregulated the banking sector, promoting London as a global financial centre. C. It nationalised several major banks. D. It had no significant impact on banking. Answer: B. It deregulated the banking sector, promoting London as a global financial centre. The Financial Services Act of 1986 was instrumental in deregulating the banking sector, facilitating the modernisation of the London Stock Exchange and reinforcing London's status as a major global financial hub. Question 69. What were the causes and consequences of the 2011 England riots? A. The riots were caused by sporting events. The consequence was increased security at sporting venues. B. The riots were sparked by economic issues. The consequence was minor economic reforms. C. The riots were triggered by the police shooting of Mark Duggan. The consequences included widespread social unrest and a revaluation of policing tactics. D. The riots were due to political decisions. The consequence was a change in government. Answer: C. The riots were triggered by the police shooting of Mark Duggan. The consequences included widespread social unrest and a revaluation of policing tactics. The 2011 England riots, initially sparked by the police shooting of Mark Duggan in Tottenham, escalated into widespread disturbances across England, highlighting issues of social inequality and prompting scrutiny of police practices. Question 70. Who were the suffragettes and what were their main achievements? A. A political party that focused on education reform. They implemented compulsory education. B. A group of women who campaigned for women's right to vote. They achieved voting rights for women over the age of 30 in 1918. C. A military group during World War II. They were known for espionage. D. Artists in the 1920s. They led the modernist movement in Britain. Answer: B. A group of women who campaigned for women's right to vote. They achieved voting rights for women over the age of 30 in 1918. The suffragettes were a movement of women who used more militant tactics than previous campaigners to secure women's suffrage in Britain, significantly contributing to the achievement of voting rights for women.